Welcome everyone, you've gotten this far, you've downloaded your SVG file, and now we need to cut it. As a Cricut user, you're going to be opening up your Cricut design space. Once you have that open, you'll want to click on the canvas here at the top, and that will bring you to a new blank canvas. On the left panel, we want to upload our design, and you're just going to hit upload image here. And then browse, you can also drag it in, but you'll probably find yours in your downloads folder. Once you find it, you're just going to upload it there, hit continue in the bottom right corner, and then upload. We now have this design in here. The only problem is that it shrunk it to a 5.5 by 5.5 square when originally each one of these squares is supposed to be 5.5 by 5.5. So what you want to do is just change it, not to 1, to 11 by 11. And that's going to bump it out. So now each one of these squares is going to be 5.5 by 5.5. That way it will match that matching cookie cutter that you have in the email. Now we have that uploaded. You can come over to the top right and click on Make. I'm not going to save this right now, but you can just save it here. It'll have you title it and everything. I'm just going to hit Do Not Save. I am using a matte because we're using stencil material. And the material I'm using is the 6mm stencil material. I am going to leave it on the 12 by 12 and then come over and hit Confirm. Now you can see that it automatically bumped each of these stencils out away from each other, so we're not cutting over the same line twice. Again, I like to just verify that it has a matte 12 by 12 and then hit continue right here. Make sure that you do have your machine plugged in because at this point it is going to try and find that machine. Once it locates it, it will pop up with the settings. I like to use the plastic mylar setting. You can bookmark it so that it shows up. There also are many other options. You can browse all materials here, but I just use that plastic mylar. So I'm going to select that, and that's going to pop up with a pressure option. I am using 6mm plastic, and so I bump it up to more pressure. That's the most pressure it can give for cutting materials. And then once you have that, it's going to prompt you to go to your machine and click on the Load Matte button. And that's just these two little arrows that are facing opposite ways. The light will be flashing, and you're just going to load your matte underneath these two little arms on the sides here. And then just make sure you securely hold it up against the wheels on this bar. And then you can click that button and it will load the matte. Once it loads your matte, it is going to measure your matte just to make sure that you have the correct matte that you put in your settings and that everything is going to cut correctly. And now that you have that matte in, you're going to hit play, and the little play button is flashing now, so you can hit that play button and it starts cutting out your stencils. Now that your stencils are all cut, you can now click on that Load Matte button again. It'll be flashing again. You can click that. That'll unload your matte, and now we can just peel this plastic off. And as we peel off these stencils, they should weed completely, especially if you have a newer matte. If you do have an older matte and some of these smaller pieces are getting stuck, just take your weeding tool and you can pop them right out. But there's your stencil set. It's all ready for next week's email where we're going to be frosting our base for our royal icing transfers.